What's up? Welcome to the third devlog video on our game House Protectors. Since the last video, I fixed a bunch of multiplayer bugs because basically everything I made in the last video only worked in single player. So I fixed most of those bugs with a few still remaining. But let's be real, who wants to spend time talking about bug fixes? So as you may remember from the last video, I added a building mechanic. However, there was a small issue. You could pretty much build wherever you wanted. It didn't matter if the block you placed was on the opposite side of the map. If the place was within your screen, you could place it there. That is fixed now, because now you have a max building distance. And if you click outside the max distance, nothing happens. Now you can also select blocks. And with blocks, I mean wooden planks and poorly functioning ladders. We have plans to introduce more types of blocks in the future, but for now, we'll just stick with these two. I made these by setting up a UI that corresponds to the available blocks. And when you click these block buttons, it sets what's called a string on the player controller, which chooses what block should be placed on left click. Do you remember that Tsunami sprite from the last video? Yeah, well, I've given it a quick remaster, making it look significantly less, well, ugly compared to the last devlog. With the remastered sprite, I also added some basic particles at the bottom of the Tsunami, but this wave is still in a very early stage of development. Now, I could have already completed making the Tsunami wave, but guess what? I might have gotten a bit carried away since I started working on the next wave instead of just finishing working on this one. You see, I've added a flash flood, as I think it's called, which is basically just rising water. This water isn't supposed to destroy what you've built, but instead encourage, well, I actually don't think encourage is the right word, but it makes the player really want to seek high ground. Because if you stay in the water for too long, you will start losing health. To make the water's appearance, I created what's called a material. I took a water texture and duplicated it. Now I could pan these same textures in two different directions and mix them together. And this gives a cheap illusion of moving water. While we might add some foam on the top of the water in the future, for now, this looks quite decent. And then of course, I made it a little transparent by hooking this node to the opacity. There's also a new spectator mode. So when you die, you can use the mouse to move around the level. And when everybody dies, it returns all players to the main menu for now. Now that might sound stupid, but like I said, it's just for now. We'll add like a death screen or something like that later. Oh, and guess what? I've given the main menu a complete makeover. This is still a very basic idea I got for a main menu, but it looks way better than the last menu. To make it, I simply create the 3D environment and have a script move the entire environment left. Then when it reaches a specific value on the axis it's moving on, it teleports the entire environment back. So it just runs back and forth like a loop. Now there are some flickering issues I'm still trying to fix, but as for now, it kinda works. In this main menu, I also added a settings menu. So now you can change shadow quality, or change the window mode and so on. I'll add more settings here in the future. Now, while working on all of this, I got bored with all the programming. So I went ahead and tried making some music, just to see if the idea I had in mind could be made. So I went into FL Studio and put together a synth with some drums and trumpets. Then I exported these tracks individually, so the idea I had could be made. After trying to make the music work with Unreal's old sound system, which didn't do what I wanted it to do, I tried using the new Meta sound system they added in Unreal 5. With this system, I could play some of the instruments in the music when it's building time, and add drums and other sounds like a trumpet fading in when a wave starts, without the different instruments being desynchronized. I think that was all the changes, so I hope you appreciated this devlog. Also, as you may have noticed, there have been a month between this devlog and my last devlog. The reason for that is simply because I don't got all the time in the world to either work on the game or work on a devlog. So I can't really give out a schedule for when these devlogs releases. But yeah, with that said, I'll see you in the next devlog. Goodbye.